Singapore's overall inflation rose to 3.2% in October, the highest in over 8 years. That's according to official Consumer Price Index data. The increase on a year-on-year basis is up from 2.5% in September, reflecting higher car prices and housing rents. Core inflation, which excludes rents and private road transport costs, climbed 1.5% last month from 1.2% in September, due to higher services and food prices and a smaller decline in the cost of retail and other goods. MAS monitors core inflation most closely in its review of Singapore's monetary policy. Economist from CIMB Private Banking, Seng Wun, joins me now. Seng Wun, what do you make of the latest figures?
Well, it is higher than consensus estimate. We knew that prices essentially across a range of goods and services have gone up. It's a question of how much. Fortunately, I think I got it right in terms of it went over 3% on year, and essentially driven by just higher costs, I think, all across the range of goods and services.
How would this affect living costs for people like you and me?
Good question. Do remember the CPI measures the basket of goods and services for a typical household. And this typical household typically lives in a HDB flat. And, based on a selection of samples of household, we drew up this composition of goods and services. So essentially, it reflects how much a typical household in Singapore pay for goods and services, which has gone up month on month, year on year. So if we simply put, the cost of living has gone up more significantly in October compared to the previous month, and indeed compared to last year.
The CPI figure, it helps to gauge our inflation rate. So with that rising, and presumably with it inflation as well, what else can policy planners in Singapore do aside from allowing the Sing dollar to strengthen?
It would be very easy for us to say, since Singapore import of its goods and services, if you take a look, the shirt I wear, material imported, the food that we put on the table, mostly imported, shampoo for washing our hair, ingredient all imported, car that we drive. So essentially, what we pay for goods and services typically comes from outside, either in final form or in PDF goods to be finished as final goods, or even for services as well. Essentially, we don't produce as much as we could. We are, after all, a small, tiny city-state. So what can we do? Yes. Can we allow the exchange rate to go up? Yes, we could. But obviously, if we allow the exchange rate to be too strong, it basically may undermine Singapore's position as a global hub for trade and services. It may simply mean Singapore becomes too expensive. So it's a fine balance. So what else can we do? Not very much, apart from really just try to source as much of our goods as possible from as many corners or around the world to essentially diversify our food supply, for instance, as well as building up resilience domestically by investing in resources, etc., that build up capacity. So essentially, that's all we can do. At this point, we are generally a nation of price taker rather than price maker.